my thought was actually this year making little friend chats about anything, conscious, esoteric, mystery, just anything. It might just be enough for people to latch on. And not that I want them to latch on to me or you, but simply latch on to expanding their awareness. And some of the thoughts that I crossed my mind is like our journey, you know, not just you as an individual, but the whole collective. You know, you go back to the GW carry on, you go back to the Epiphany stuff, and we can see so much after effect. And even speaking about Chandler as an example, he was speaking about the spirits coming through the walls and attacks and stuff, and we hear from him a year later and he doesn't suffer any of these things, and his calmness in him was much more. And that's the kind of things I thought to myself, this is why we should record our conversations, because it's like a couple of years down the road where we witnessed some freaky stuff, freaky people. And we're sitting at this side of the track going, was it real?
Yeah. Oh, I'm still doing that. I'm like, what just hit me?
Yeah. I mean for me, it's been really exciting, and I think I took the idea around November to try and write a book, and what it was is the conscious penetrations that I started to see from all this events we're talking about. I was like, shit, there's some really interesting things that people could think of a bit more to maybe clear some things in the narrow path so they can get there. So I was like, well, how do I write the book that makes them go, holy shit, this could actually be fun? So the thought that came to my mind was a book about the grand chessboard of consciousness. So how we as individuals bounce about, have this problem, evolve, and it might be a case of thinking that we turn from black to white every time. So as you find a question, it's maybe black. As you get the answer, it's maybe white, which causes another question, which means you've got to go black again, which means you've got to get another answer.
True.
So that was why I come up with the book. So December, I think it was like December the 5th, I decided to start doing some Kriya Yoga work, heavy on meditations. And then all of a sudden, about 12th of December, I got vast downloads, and it felt like I was getting answers to what I should be thinking at the right time. So before I knew it, I had written about 60 pages A4 in a book, and it was my manuscript, and it's up to about 120,000 words at that point. And it was just like a massive whoosh, the things that me and you speak about, getting that whoosh, the massive divine stuff. So I parked it for a while, picked it up again. I think it was around about the Grand Conjuncture, the Crystal Time videos. It was really fun. And then I had another like push into the book, and that's it now up to 250,000 words. And I just gave it to Witness to Humanity. You remember him?
Who?
Witness to Humanity?
Yes.
I've given it to him for his overview and to find out what he thinks, because he's kind of on the same oneness for me, plus he's a young soul. Well, a young person, maybe it's an old soul, who knows. But the connection that me and him shared in regards to writing stuff was really good. So I think there could be a little bit more value that could go in the book, or even challenge some of the stuff I've written. So hopefully at the end of whatever he comes out with, we'll go for an e-version and we'll share it wide and get comments back from everybody that wants to read it digitally, and then we'll print it.
I think it'll be great.
It could be good, it could be bad.
Well, with a lot of people's input even would be awesome, because there's a lot of people trying to figure stuff out, and who else are they going to go to other than people who have been through it?
Yeah, an experiencer like yourself and myself, and the coming from the questions to the even more questions.
Yeah, it doesn't stop with questions.
Well, that was one of the interesting things I tried to cover in the book. I found there is scientific experiments that actually prove there's a never-ending mathematic question. It's actually called the Mandelbrot set, and I've put in this in my book to refer to it as a proof that even in maths there is a never-ending question answer. So us as a conscious expansion, it's proven mathematically. So that should be fun. That's the kind of stuff I've tried to put in the book. It'll give people things to go and research for themselves and find the expansion that we share.
Yeah.
So what about yourself? How's your year been? What have you came from and what have you been doing? And touching on the as above, so beloved, what was your target for this year? Where do you see your attempts?
Ooh. I haven't thought much about it, but I did want to be able to help people and use the YouTube as an avenue to help them. It's just, with every it seems like there's a specific amount of people that would watch YouTube. So it's like I need to go on video and have something to talk about, and it's kind of been just trying to adapt to what's going on with COVID and keeping everybody communities together, a lot of us just banding together and just being like, what's going on? I don't know. What are you seeing? And just keeping each other informed and raising our vibrations. That's all we've been really doing, and just reaching out, just making sure everybody's okay, because everybody's going through some crazy stuff,
yeah.
Whether it's just a sickness that they've always had, getting better, and then taking care of themselves, and then we've got all these different things that people are talking about. So it's been really good to get more stable and grounded, and there's been a lot of yoga and things that I've been doing myself, like meditation and just going within. I've been easier to go into a meditation or a meditative state. Just I go by myself and just boom, I'm there.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, it was a lot. I think a year ago it felt like I was under some type of a possession that kept happening, because I kept hearing, I felt like I couldn't control whatever it was that was.
Like the Chandler thing we were mentioning. Yes. Yeah.
And it was like channeling stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
So I've also gotten into that, remembered that I used to do this as a kid and I stopped doing it because I was scared. I didn't know what to make of it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching out to people and I'm just I don't know why, but I feel like your son wants me to tell you this, and then I just get this overwhelming sensation of just say this to this person, because it's I feel like I'm being visited all the time. Yeah. And if I touch one energy, or if I talk to one person and we mix energies, it's everything that is spiritual around you, all the spirits around you know that I can channel something. It's bizarre, but it's been,
and what you're saying reminds me of the guy Josh from Hope Paranormal, and yeah. He's writing a book right now. He's actually due to publish in a couple of weeks about his whole journey. So that's going to be another mind blower. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've been watching him too, and listening to his box that speaks words. That's what makes it really interesting, because then you actually can see that there's, conscious spirits speaking through a box and they're saying things, so it's so that tells you that they're right there, right across the, so there's nothing to be afraid of. And yeah,
it's beautiful.
And I think a lot of people need that confirmation that when we die, we're right there. We're just right there, and I can feel them and I can sense them, and we don't just end. And that's what I've always been taught. So, when I was little growing up, and it's not true. So it's just nice to be able to open that door and be like, okay, and I'm safe. I'm not being,
there's no fear
possessed or attacked, because that was the fear that they imposed on me when I was a kid, And
I think this realm is actually intentionally trying to share fear. And I know specifically the propaganda stuff is fear, but I've been finding a lot of young people lately just not even affected by the propaganda from fear perspective. And I've met a couple of young artists and musicians lately who are also synchronists. They're living the divine acts that keep just occurring, and One of them was aware of the sacred geometry, and the conversation I had with this young 20-year-old, I was surprised. It was as if it was an old soul in that young incarnation, and it made me think to myself, gosh, there really is a lot of hope for this future generation from, you know, the journey that we've shared, and maybe their journey will be even more evolutionary. So by the time they get to where we are, they'll be, you know, they'll be the Teslas, they'll be the next amazing inspiration, and fearless. Hopefully like Ryan's.
I think they already are. They're star seeds. I mean, they're born into it. It's almost like if we didn't have all that pressure of being conformed to what they wanted, then we would have been using our talents much earlier.
Yes.
You know, and been, you know, it wouldn't have taken such a long period of time, and then it was like, oh, I have this ability. Wait, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's time to work on it and like to figure it out. It doesn't come with a manual. Like, here's a special gift. This is how you work it. It's just kind of floundering around and like, what is this?
That's why I was going to subtitle my book The Book of Life, because I thought to myself, this book could be useful for life.
That is a good idea, you know, and like the game of life. Do you remember that game?
That's it.
That would be a great front cover, but you could also do instead of chess. Ooh, that would be kind of interesting, because that game, I think I got stuck in that game. I was like, this is life, this is all there is. I remember thinking that, playing it as a kid, you know.
It's like the tic-tac-toe, you know, there's never a winner, it's just the pleasure of observing.
Yeah It's a trip.
Good game. It's good for the kids.
Yep. If we don't get trapped within. And Monopoly is another good one.
It's amazing. Yeah. There's a tarot card psychic lady I've followed for a few years called Michelle Knight. I think I've shared a few videos, and it's in All for Synchronicity Discord. Well, at the beginning of this year, she made a post asking for other psychics, and the advert that she released was one of her customers. They had evolved so well that they are now working for her, and it was her actually advertising to join Michelle's team and actually do tarot card readings, a little bit of psychic work, just be one of them that would either pick up a phone or pick up a voice thing. And I was saying to myself, gosh, there's someone we've watched evolve from, say, 2,000 followers on YouTube to where they are now, and they're a couple of 100,000, and the business is flowing. It's not just like a small tarot card lady or me with the oracle cards, you know. I do them quite for friends, but this is someone that's actually flying. And the video content that she's been putting out, I think you've seen some of it. She goes travelling Scotland. It shows you the great places.
I haven't seen her. Which one is it?
It's Michelle Knight, spelt with a K.
Okay, I saw her in the beginning. I haven't seen her. Wow.
Yeah, and I'll share a link. One of the interesting, she did a 20-minute video around about the same time as me in Crystal Time, and it was about the Great Conjuncture, and she was just speaking about how that from the perspective she could perceive, that it could be the actual beginning of the age of Aquarius, the age of information. It
sure is.
It's feeling like it. I think there's a lot of hopeful people. You know, you listen to one set of people speaking about how negative the COVID is, but then you just take the step back, and all of a sudden you start seeing there's millions of people looking at it in a different perspective, but they're just not talking about it, and it's not being spoke about in a big way. It's really, really interesting, and I suspect as this year progresses, it's going to get to a point where people just go, COVID, go away. Gosh, you look so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, this whole COVID thing has been, people don't know what to make of it. Like, we hear one thing and then we hear another thing, and then nothing makes sense. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense at all. So, you know, it's really made people question their beliefs in the medical system, in, you know, the hospitals, in, of course, the testing centers, which is where we get, the testing from. And
Yeah.
like, it's just so bizarre. Like, it's just so wrapped in such a big thing. And if you just get a little bit of information on it, it's enough to be like, well, I don't really know what to do. I think a lot of people are deciding, the ones who are getting the shots and stuff, or the vaccines, they're so used to their doctors providing everything for them, unless they're elderly in a nursing home, they put all of their trust in these doctors, and that's really the problem.
Yeah, the other day I was walking through my scheme with the dogs, and I overheard two neighbours. There was like one guy walking with their dog, and they were talking just similar to how we're talking just now, just about the truths of the event. And this is in Scotland, right? Remember? So the guy started speaking about Donald Trump, and then the press conference where that someone at the end was actually caught saying that it was all fake. And this guy shouting it out in the middle of the street, because they're both at either side of the road from each other having this conversation. And the other guy starts talking about the news in the UK and how that someone had went round a couple of the hospitals that said they were full, and actually walked around the fucking hospital and live streamed an empty flipping hospital. And this was in England. And these two people were just talking about it out there, and I'm standing there and I'm going, this is viral. It's so obvious that the only ones that are idiots that are still going along with the scam is the politicians, because they're getting their big lobbyist outcomes, And, and the guys were even saying this. It was, I had goose pimples. I'm sitting there going, more truth is.
You should have videoed it.
But I don't even have a smart device, because I refuse to have well, shall we say, a track and trace.
Yep.
Not for me.
No. Yeah, it's not for me either. It's just a means to an end. I'm just like, well, I know I'm being constantly watched. Hopefully I'm putting on a good show for you. Like, whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, we're breaking free of this one way or another, so watch me all you want. Follow me, track me. I'm not doing anything I'm concerned about.
That's my phone.
Is it a Nokia?
Yeah.
I've had one of those. Those were the start phones. I might still have one. It's like really old. It still works.
It beeps and it rings, and I get instructions. That's it. I got it more so that the neighbours could shout at me, like because I stay beside all those old pensioner people and I help them. I got it just so they could text me and say, "Come and help with shopping," or "Can you do something?"
Yeah.
It's just because I stay beside them for so long.
But otherwise, you're on here.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can find me online.
It stinks when computers go, break or whatever. It's like, and you got to go get another one, and that's a whole nother thing that I'm looking into. It's like we shouldn't be monitored as much as we are on all these different platforms, and that's been, like, I was not really into Facebook. I was just there to post pictures and whatever for my family and very close friends, or everybody who I've ever known, old friends. And then I just stayed away from it. And then all of a sudden we got on it, and we were, just discussing different religious things. And it was good for a while, but I'm feeling literally like I'm being overwhelmed, because I'm constantly having to like say hello to this person and that person and this person. And it's just like, I get scattered with my energy. It's interesting. Yeah. So figuring that stuff out too. And, when Facebook like logs people out and doesn't allow them back in, when they're, censoring all your information, everybody's going, what is going on here? So maybe that's a good thing.
Well, the other day I was looking at two posts I did a day later, and it said, this isn't being shown to anybody. And then one of my friends, a Vietnam veteran, he's in Florida, he had a post up. I went back later on and it said, this is false information. And you're sitting there going, but it's not false information. So clearly there is an issue. And then recently, and I've been doing this just for my own bemusement, but I'll post a video on Screwed Tube, I'll post it on BitChute and another platform. And basically I'll count the views, and I've got a spreadsheet running on the information, so I'll count the views for the first hour and the likes or anything like that. And 9 times out of 10, every video I've uploaded on YouTube, I'll always get 3 likes, 5 likes, but 0 views in the first hour. The most I've ever had is 7 likes and no views. How can someone click like and not view the flicking thing? And then BitChute, every time I upload a video, straight away, 20 views, 30 views. I mean, most of my BitChute videos are up in a couple of hundred views, but none of my ScrewTube videos are high numbers. It's really weird. It's totally a manipulated platform.
It is, but that's another thing with this social media. It's like, which platforms do we trust to invest in? I've seen all these people go from nothing, and they've worked so hard, and they've gotten their YouTube followers. And I've seen it happening as I was building my, just doing sky watching. And I was thinking, like, this is like, if people are trying to make a living or whatever, it's going to be hard. And then hard to monitor the truth of the numbers coming in.
Yes.
People have been doing that for a while. It's just bizarre. So it's like, yeah.
And one of the
I don't know
thoughts,
what the revenue.
Yeah, and one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was, could some of the new platforms actually start manipulating the numbers the other way to make the bad platforms look worse? So, as an example, and I'll just say names, but could BitChute start making 1 view look like 3 views so that it looked really good? And I'm not saying that's happening, but if it's possible in one way, it's always possible in the other way. So, it crosses my mind. But yeah, the businesses that's being crushed out there from channels is pretty intense just now. And even the YouTuber Dark Journalist, he's been doing some phenomenal interviews, and for years I've followed Daniel. It's just great to have someone still going, but even he's mentioned a few times on the manipulation, and when you compare numbers for previous years, you can just see the curve going down. It's definitely screwed tube.
Yeah, and there's like brand new tube and DLive and BitChute, and there's just so many. So
that was Epiphany.
Yeah,
interesting. That was our Epiphany project. It was energy projection. It didn't matter who received it, remember? And it just flew.
That was a trip.
That was a trip. That was, and I think looking back at it all, how that everybody just ran off on their own little tangent. It was expected, and we even predicted it before we did it. So to watch it happen, and then months, maybe a year later, how many platforms? As you just mentioned, DLive, BitChute, AltTube.
I wonder whatever happened to everybody. I wonder where they went. I mean, I've seen people grow their own little YouTube channel, and they're just kind of dispersed from there. But
remember, we had the guy doing his own radio show as well.
Really? Was it Lenny?
That's it. Gosh.
Lenny. Yeah. I was offered to go on there, and I just got so distracted, and I don't remember what happened, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
It was busy times. I remember at least having about 300 interactions a day plus across multiple platforms, and some days I'd still be here thinking, gosh, I should have been to bed ages ago. Yeah, it was amazing times. I'm surprised looking back at how many connections I had then and how little still stay connected. But it's not meant to be long-term interjections. It was seeding. It was giving the fruit and we did so many great things. I bet you they're all flying on something great now, like flying on the divine energies.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it, because I think we need to do more things like that.
Definitely.
So that we direct it in good ways, because I think a lot of it did help a lot of people, or at least help for the awakening part.
Yeah.
To be more structured, maybe. Like everybody needed more structure. They were kind of floundering around, like, what do we do?
Yeah. Everybody was looking for their own mission. It was like copy pasting. At one point, everybody was copying the neighbor.
Yeah. Yes. reposting.
Yeah,
That was funny.
it was. I loved
They were
it.
taking all the information from one server to another. I was like, this is getting. That must have been a great observation. Just like, watch this one. What are they doing?
And then,
like,
oh, I like their idea. Oh, it was crazy days. I did enjoy watching it, and
Yeah.
I think this next push needs to be, and I don't want to say immediately revenue based, but I think this next piece, there needs to be a revenue in it. And I was listening to some of those entrepreneur people throughout last year. One of the thoughts that he shared was this course that he made based on The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale's work. The course that he made, he thought of giving it freely, but when people see something for free, they see it as no value. So if you was to say to them, right, you have to pay $100 to see this, and this is going to be the best thing you've ever seen, then they would give the $100 because they know the value is going to come back to them. So the guy was speaking about this, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know something? There's a little bit of truth to it. You know, we shouldn't be like this book I'm talking about that I've been making. I can't print it and give it out for free. So the value in it has to be value. And that's why I thought, well, that's maybe why I should write the book. Because maybe it's true what the guy's saying. People don't see value in something unless there is a number on it. So it's interesting. And I'm not saying I need to do everything this year for money, but I think if I can make a revenue perspective on it consciously, then maybe people will come to it more. It'll be like the magnet getting turned on, or the energy, and for their want to expand. And then once the book's ready, my hope will be to make video discussions. So maybe another like chinwag like what we're having here, but talking about the pieces in the book, and perhaps inviting others to give their share or their perspective on it. It could be interesting. That's my intention for the year, and later down the road. And I'm thinking the other half of the year doing those things.
That'll be a great idea.
I think so. I think, and I'm not wanting to sell the book for like, you know, those million quid. There was somebody I heard about the other day actually got a book deal, $800,000 he got, and it was one of those. I was about to say Biden or something, but it was one of those in their new administration. It's like, what? How can you get book deals like that? It's crazy. I mean, I'm going to sell mine probably for $20.
About what's happened. I'm sure a lot of people want to know the truth, and they want to hear it from the horse's mouth in a sense. They want to hear it from people who are directly involved. So, whether you're observing or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're directly involved and you have a voice in the matter, so, or you know, you're not afraid to talk.
Yeah. Certainly interesting time. There's another guy released a book this year, Piers Morgan. Maybe you've seen him on television in the US. He was over there for a while, news presenting. Well, he's back here in England, and he released a book. I think it's called Wake Up Britain.
The what? Wake Up Britain?
Yeah, Wake Up Britain. And he's gone out speaking truth.
That's a great name.
Aye, I liked it. When I seen his book, he released that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. He's a news presenter.
What's his book about?
I haven't read it and I haven't got it, but I'm thinking it's pretty much addressing the COVID scenario and how the propaganda has led it. And one of the interesting topics that's been said on the media just now is how that this is actually a propaganda attack from China, and you know the All for Synchronicity Discord, configured for the community as an interaction hub, created to allow users to receive notifications from YouTube video uploads as a prevention from the Screw YouTube's shadow bans. Furthermore, it has other interactions such as community members interacting, posting videos with each other. For users that's new to All for Synchronicity Discord, you can allocate a role by clicking one of these emojis at the bottom here. There is instructions in the welcome channel for anyone joining. And once you've done this, you'll gain access to Synchronist member channels where you can meet other members and see their interactions on a daily basis. Discord provides users with voice channels which allow other members to connect with each other and interact on a voice basis. You can even share content such as screens and many other features. All members are welcome. If you wish to join Discord or All for Synchronicity Discord, click the link in the description below. That's went viral on some platforms and some news outlets. Specifically, I'll mention True News. They were saying that this has been mentioned back in March on other platforms. I think Piers Morgan's book will be similar. And as I say, I haven't read it, so I can't speak of it. But I think it will be highlighting the propaganda effect or power of the crap of this COVID stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they've been planning something for a while, so that this is their move. If you really think about it, it's, it's been in movies. It was just a matter of them pulling it out of their hat and actually making the whole world involved. I mean, that's been the eye opener.
Yeah.
Like this is the huge change that you're actually getting every country involved.
I know.
All of them. They're all involved.
And there was a video the other week or the other day came out from Bill Gates. I've never seen it. Made me laugh. When I was watching the video, I'm sitting there and I'm watching a kid in an old man suit spitting his toys out his pram. And basically he turned around and he spoke about how the conspiracists are thinking that him and Fauci did all the bad things. And it's like, well, no, dude.
Really?
You're actually propagandizing that you're doing that. Not that we, the conspiracists, think you are it. And I'm sitting there and I'm laughing at him. You should see the video. You can literally see his childish aspects, like as if he's going. And it's like, jeez, Bill, man, just go home. Go on. Oh, it made me laugh. And
yeah.
They don't even see it themselves, they've gone so warped.
Yeah. This whole thing has been insane. I've seen people who are coming forth and just waking up to it, and they're scared because they're being called conspiracy theorists. It's like, you're labeling me now that I'm using common sense and just, not being just questioning things and saying, well, this is the case for this. So it's the truth, right? Well, let's talk about it, and no one's able to talk about it. You start talking about it on Facebook, they ban you, shadow ban, you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so it goes to show who's ruling and who's behind stuff.
And it reminds me of a piece. I was actually sharing a bit of my book to one of the Synchronicity members the other day. We were talking about the 7 veils. That was what he was talking about. Let me jump to something. Super sensible state, right? And he was talking about masonry symbolism, and I told him about the knock. I says 322, it's that, and he says, yeah, it adds to 7. And then we spoke about consciousness. We'll wait for this one. I says to him, I says, in my book I've actually got a bit speaking about 7 veils of consciousness and why I can perceive them through natural things. And one of the paragraphs, one of the pieces is titled Super Sensible Knowledge, or Super Sensible State of Knowledge. And in there I actually tell that common sense isn't actually super sensible. A super sensible state is even higher, but in that state you recognize the common sense. And I think, just like we were talking about, the conspiracists, this labelism, it all just vanishes as you hit that super sensible state.
So true.
And I shared it with this young guy, and I haven't had his feedback from it, but they're so switched on that they're finding great value from this type of content, this type of perspective. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not what they've been fed, all the lies they've been fed, and they're very aware of it. People are very aware of it. They're like, something's not right. And once you start looking, I think so many people are waking up to it, and it's a good thing, but yeah, they want to know they have answers. So how do you get them the answers? How do you do that?
It's making me really excited for this year and this decade, let alone the year, because I mean, I know I'm doing the book, but many of our friends are doing some amazing things right now. And that lady I've interviewed, Crystal Time, she's been just flying on a divine wave, shall we say. And she's got some really amazing things coming later in the year that she's working so hard to get for people. And I've watched her channel grow from next to nothing to crazy numbers, and it's so exciting. And I'm using this as just one example. There's many others. So I'm so excited for the year, and I think with the level of Wakened, it's just going to be a great decade. We're going to be sitting here in 10 years' time making another one of these videos going, can you believe it?
Yeah, I know. I'm really thinking that. I'd like to see, hopefully we have videos from last time, because that was I'm really hoping for good stuff.
Definitely.
Good thing.
And it feels good. And I was mentioning, I got my relatives moved here from Philippines. So for me, that was a little bit of an energy boost. And after Mum, it was kind of like, gosh, I needed a little bit of a boost. And the niece, she's so young, so switched on. Just even sharing a minute with her is incredible. You've got Wayne's anyway, so you're on that fly, that great energy. But yeah, it was uplifting. And then the conversations, like what I hear from people around me, and the new members of All for Synchronicity coming in droves, it really is really exciting. Well, I made an advert for the Discord. I just showed people what they could click and get from it, and I explained it. I think I made it a minute long advert, and within like first week I'd get one member, a new member every day, and then the second week it was like 3 members would jump in. So it's been shooting up quite steadily, and just for making a small snippet video, just to go, guys, it's a notification center, you can just sit back and click.
Nice. You're very smart.
Trying.
Yeah, he's like
trying.
You're very intelligent. I got your number. Try.
You know where to find me.
Just hanging back lurking in the shadows. He's like, you want some information?
So
got some book.
So for your channel, are you going to be doing videos this year, or are you just taking a slow interaction community type year? Is that your personal channel plan? Your YouTube channel?
I hadn't really thought of it, because I just was trying to navigate or just kind of feel out like what exactly is happening, as far as YouTube or BitChute or whatever platform. But
there's a lot of people like that just now. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people just not uploading to Tube. They've given up.
Right, too many platforms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've been seeing, a lot of snippets going on YouTube, and they'll point you to another platform.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. They're smart. I think that would be a really good idea. Yeah, and if I had something, I felt like maybe, do I have something to say? Like, my son was following me on YouTube, and he started saying stuff like, he's 13, 14, almost 14. It's like, so, you're a conspiracy theorist. And I'm like, because I'm filming the sky? How is that conspiracy? It's like evidence, like, look, what is this? I don't know. Like, this has been my whole, just, it's magical. Look at how magical it is. And just whatever I can do to just write. But now, I feel like we've got to the point of, okay, so now people are going to have answers. So what do I talk about?
Yeah.
So it's kind of been, a bunch of us in Discord and the different channels, and we just kind of reach out to each other and offer, not really advice, but where I've been, maybe you can learn from this,
Yes.
This is how I feel
about the experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all learning together, but I mean, it's been a very close-knit group because we're very protective of the energy, because we were having a lot of people just causing problems out of nowhere, just like, what is this? And it was just draining, like the energy was draining. It was like, what exactly, and healing and going through everything we're going through. We just learned to, be very careful about who we invite in our little group.
Yeah, keep
because
it pure. Yeah, keep the purity in it, yes.
Yeah.
There is a lot of benefit in that, and it's funny you mentioning that, because here was us speaking about my book, Super Sensible State. Well, the next paragraph is actually called Conscious Grouping, and in there I do speak about how the people have not necessarily the karmic connection, but the grouping for specific energies. And one of the persons I mentioned in that paragraph is actually Bruce Lee, and some of the kung fu techniques and wisdoms that he shared. And I found that there is evidence of grouping using what he teaches. I could read you the piece, but it's another piece in the book that we're finding a synchronicity of. That's amazing.
Interesting. I'd like to hear it. Now I really read the book.
I should maybe get it printed and shared, but I don't know how much it will change between now and the final version. But let me see if I can give you this piece just as a interesting.
I've
only
had
one
a lot
paragraph.
of it.
Oh, you stand
Yeah,
by.
I'd like to hear it.
During the emotional state, we find an after effect occurs to our body. Some people will call this adrenaline. There is also similar events that occur to our body when we put our body into an unexpected state. Like if we go from a nice hot location into a freezing swimming pool or a river, we find our bodies start to trigger mechanics beyond our commands. These, some people might say, are natural abilities to protect ourselves. However, there are many people that practice arts of learning your true body abilities, and many of the ancient martial artists, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, and or ancient swamis can tell you that you can overcome the natural abilities, and here is where another veil of consciousness exists. This is an innate ability to blend your physical abilities by using your true level of consciousness, which exists outside the time realm. It takes a massive amount of self-development and can be rewarding for those individuals that take the time to truly learn the physical aspects of creation. There's another paragraph that goes on speaking about the karmic circle and how the energies is the linkage. And here was us just moments ago speaking about keeping an energy circle pure and learning to control and yield the purity.
Yes.
So I'm just skimming the next paragraph, but that's where it leads into.
You gonna read the next paragraph?
No, I'll leave it there. But yeah, that's exactly the kind of level of things I'm targeting in the book, because I feel that it might be confirmational to many others, and not just in the sense that someone else experienced it and wrote it, but they might go, holy shit, I've been experiencing that a decade ago, or I've been experiencing that previously.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can be useful.
I'm sure it will. Every little bit of information is helping people. That's what I've noticed in our small groups. It's like people will come in and they just kind of hang out and they're listening, and there'll be a thought that'll be provoked or whatever, and it's like something needs to be said about something, and I know they're all learning from just what we're experiencing, because we're normal people just living day to day going, what is going on? And that's another thing, is I wonder how many people are going, what's touching me, or like, having that whole like that was pretty intense, like what the hell is that, right? And just connecting, like, are they even experiencing that, or am I the only one that experienced it, or what are they experiencing? Are they dimensionally shifting in their mind? Are they seeing numbers all the time. It's like, what are people experiencing? Why do they find us so interesting? Because we seem pretty crazy. To me, I'm like, do you feel that? Or is that just me? Okay, I'm just the only one that feels that. But I don't see very many people talking about it.
No. And I've met a few people that'll fake feel it. So they'll just, if you say to them, do you feel that? Some people will just say yes. And I give an example. There's actually some members of my family that just automatically lie. But you learn that consciousness isn't wanting to evolve. But when you take the perspective that someone is just, yes, I feel it. They aren't. They're comfort. They found their own. And I think that's like The Walking Dead. I think that reminds me of the movie from the 70s. The one the guy puts on the glasses and starts looking around.
Those they live. Yes. Yeah. It's exactly what it was like coming to all this. 2-3 years ago, I was like, and seeing like movies and things like that, and I was like, yes, why did I remember that? And then I really actually got into it, and I was like, wow, what a great movie that really explained stuff way back then.
I know. And
I remember watching it, and thinking like, wow, if the world was this crazy, I mean, if they can think it up, then it can be true.
And then the Matrix. Yeah. The Matrix 1999.
Yeah, that got me. I'll never forget that, leaving that movie theater. Like, I can make the traffic light stop, watch. Just started laughing. Yeah, I was so into it.
Yeah.
Because we know it's a possibility if we can actually come up with it. If it's sci-fi, if it's, out there. Or something too.
Remember what Captain Kirk said years ago when someone says, what's the difference between science and sci-fi? And you looked at him and he went, nothing.
Nothing really. And how much do we know that's really true? We're basing all of our thoughts and beliefs on who and what, like who actually delivered this information, who is giving us this information, and what is their part in it? What do they gain by giving this information? Yeah. That's been a lot of eye-opening right there.
I think that's why I had to write the book, because I felt compelled that there was so much wishy-washy information. Like, I used to call it rabbit holes, and I think that's why I hosted the Cipher Project, because it was just a pile of rabbit holes for people, and people loved it. I couldn't believe how drawn they were to it, and it flowed for ages. But the book, it's above the rabbit hole game, but it talks about all the rabbit hole game and all the little pish, and it doesn't say, like, you need to learn about this conspiracy. It just says, these are the facts, there's your game, you are God, we all are, and the game is, he's always hiding. That's all the book says, and I'm saying it in a sentence, but there's so much in the book that proves that is the game, and the moment you start accepting that the divine is in everything, the more this realm will try and elude you to fool you. So if you get yourself in that state where everything you see is divine, it's going to have to take something wild in this realm to elude you. So it's like, if you won the lottery today, you would just laugh, because you go, well, that's the divine just going, ha, there you go. And if you laugh at it, the realm's going to go, well, tell you what, you need to be the king of the world now. Because the realm is always trying to confuse you and pretend. So that's the book.
It's a lot of trickery. It's been a lot of trickery. You're right.
It is. And that's why I wrote the book. Because at the end of last year, I was like, people need to know the game. Because if they know the game, we're going to change the whole realm in a way that the realm is just so abundant that all these people that go around going, we're overpopulated, they'll vanish. And all these idiots that go, we're about to get another revolution, they'll vanish, because their consciousness will be gone. And that's what we're having. And that's why I wrote the book.
I think that's a great way to, like the Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but also with your book, with instructions for this game of life in this realm. Like, I don't know how many people wake up to go on, oh wow, I'm in a realm, you know, this is a weird thing, but how do I navigate it? And then they don't really realize that there is some navigation, or that they can navigate it. And so they're like, well, I'll just take some pills and go back to sleep on this. You know, they go back into their little magical world that they've created that feels safe for them.
Yeah.
You know, with I trust this and I trust that, and this is what makes me feel safe, and not taking that chance of going, but that there's actually instructions, there's actually a game. I mean,
that's and this is tapping on one of my paragraphs. I can't believe how synchronistic we are today, but one of the paragraphs, or one of the sections in the book, is actually titled Physical Plane. And often people will see our whole realm as one thing, but there's different planes in the realm. And one of the paragraphs I say here, and I'll just give you the first little divot: the physical plane, observation post, 5 senses, observation post at the conscious level, closest place towards a subconsciousness, where 5 elements unfold their effects to show us God's amazing handiwork. The physical plane is what many of us call Earth. The effects of this realm is where all the amazing conscious aspects take shape and create what we see as our reality. The effects of our conscious being near to this plane of existence is a state of which we are closer to the lower planes of existence than that is a state which would seem more like a dream state. A state of a vibration is not felt, sending in ways we do not. Sending as ways we do with our 5th or 6th sense. And I'll pause there. In other words, you know, I'm comparing what is all the elements. There is a lower state, another plane. And even if I scroll to the next part of my book, I'll read the beginning here. And you might like this one because it's going to mention someone. The lower planes below the physical state. I remember a long time ago reading about this guy, Carl Sagan, which was on the television teaching people about space and other aspects of reality. I eventually grew the courage to investigate and watch some of his content he had created, and one which struck me that was his way of highlighting a simple confirmation as we assume to confirm the possibilities of a lower realm of existence than we consciously observe. Carl speaks of a 2D plane, and in that video he demonstrates that if a 3D object was to land on a 2D realm, that we in the realm would only be able to see a slice of the 3D object. And he uses this shape to make this observation in text, and simply highlighting that an observation can show that an existence in pieces of realms is possible. And what he had on the screen was, on his desk, a bit of paper, and he had a square, a rectangle and a circle, and he took a cylinder object and he put it down there. Now me and you in the 3D, we've seen the whole object, but if you think that you were the triangle or the square or the box, what view did it have? It would only ever see a slice, so it would just see another circle. It wouldn't see the whole 3D apple per se. It would simply just see, and this was something from his. It truly struck me when I go on.
Yeah, I was just thinking you should definitely have more visuals in your book.
There are some visuals.
Yeah, you remember those old? I remember being like 15 and going to the mall. It was a big deal when you would look at these pictures. I think we've talked about this before. You'd stare at the picture, and then everything would just start popping out, and you're like, "I'm magic! Yeah. How did I do that? I can see like all this stuff moving," and that was amazing. Yeah, like that was my first. Wow, I remember. But yeah, you can, if you pay attention to it, or if you're shown to look at it this way. Like I remember you had to cross your eyes and like look really still and just wait for it to pop out at you. By doing that, you had to actually do those steps, right? And if nobody told you those steps, then would you do it? Yeah. Or no, you wouldn't.
It's like expanding your consciousness. You needed to do it to see it. Yes. And that's exactly what I've written about the lower planes and breaking it into planes of existence, because I even thought to myself, and this is in the book, animals have a plane perspective that's not the same as ours. And in the book I speak about it again, and an example would be me and you, we sense pain not in the same way as an animal. If an animal broke its back while climbing down a tree to get something, it would still continue. It would just use its front freaking legs. But if that was me and you, we'd be on the phone giving it 911, help!
I don't know about me. I would never call 911.
I know.
I'm like, don't call 911. We're not going to the doctor. I'm not going. I got a doctor phobia thing going on.
Yeah, but animals, I mean, they're just in a different plane of sensory perception. True. Yeah. Amazing.
They know survival. It's not it's basic survival instincts. Yeah.
All in the book. I can't wait to get it finished. I've been so pumped about it. I can't wait to
finish it. You need to definitely I have to help you find some artwork to put in there, because visuals, for me, I know it's helped me so much. Because you can only imagine certain things, but when you've seen it, I've seen so many different pictures, and I've sat and looked at them and stared at them for probably, things I would have never looked at before. I wasn't really into going on the internet or getting information outside of, I really was, sheltered. Because I was like, what is all this? But those pictures that pop out gave me like the whole view. Some people didn't need words. You just have the picture. It's a whole different thought. A picture says 1,000 words.
It's funny you speaking about art today and for the book, because I was speaking to one of my friends that's arty, and I was saying to her I wanted covers, or I would like some support on covers. And she was like, yeah, we can speak closer at the time, but you never know. Maybe I might be lucky to be able to say, could you read the book? And then she might just feel compelled to put in little arty bitties. But me, I have put in pieces that I could create. And specifically, some of the pictures I created is a tetrahedron, is a toroidal force. I mean, one of them that you would enjoy is the flower of life. I've got that in the book. And you
remember you doing that?
Yeah, well,
when I was helping you.
Well, the one that I've got on screen is 360 circles over 360 circles. So when you see it, it looks like an eye, but there's so many petals in it that it makes a whole circle. And the part that's in the book, I'm actually speaking about a toroidal field, so an object that's kind of circled like this, but I'm giving only the slice view, just like what we were talking about a couple of minutes ago, just a 2D view of the 3D toroidal field. And it's because it is sacred geometry. So in the book,
people have to go through all different avenues to get that information.
Yes, yeah. And in the book, I've even shown how Tesla taught people the same thing, and they've been hiding it since Tesla's days. And there's a poster that Tesla made called Construction of One Cycle of an Electric Current. And it's interesting that he would title it that. Wait for this one. Halfway down it says, This Mind and Motion Universe.
This Mind and Emotion Universe. Interesting.
It really is. And he's connected all the dots. And then at the bottom of his poster it says this. Mind, center, and controls, motion from within, seek ye the kingdom of heaven within.
Really?
No shit.
You got to add that in the book.
It's in my book.
Nice.
And on that same bit of poster, it shows a toroidal field, and on it shows the planets, colours, and sound. So he's even marked. Let me give you an example.
That's what going within means.
Yeah.
That's so trippy. Because I was always like, what does that mean, go within? I'm like, I'm trying to find this place within, but
Wait for this one. He's marked it on his sheet, and it goes up like that, like a pyramid kind of shape, but it goes do, te, mi, fa, mi, re, do.
Interesting.
It does. And I'm not a musical person. I'm only reading what he's written.
It's not.
There was one missing.
So
Let me do it again.
That's something that Sound of Music came up with.
Yeah, do, te, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, ra, do. I forgot the
Oh,
so.
so the Sound of Music had it incorrect.
And I
Yeah,
wonder,
that is interesting. Of course, they would change it to screw it all up. But what is that? So that's what is the one he's talking about? Is that actual frequency?
there's actually
Because
9 chords he's played. I was just wondering, did he have it like 7 chakras? I was just wondering. And the other thing that blew me away a few years ago, I was speaking to someone that's done holistic healing for 30 years. They've got their own clinic. And she says to me, there's 7 chakras. And I says to her, well, I think there's 9 because there's 2 muscles that I can sense that controls the crown. And she says, it's
yeah,
weird you saying that because someone else said that to her years ago. Well, here's us
on here,
speaking about, yeah, yeah. And here's us speaking about Tesla's thing. There's nine sounds. And then even when you learn some of the Vedic teachings, they teach that there's actually a control within you, a muscle that you would learn to use frequently.
that's what that is. I've been messing with that here and there. I'm like, what was that? That's interesting.
And you can use
That
those
was
two
so
muscles
much.
to close your crown as well as open.
Yeah. Well, do you ever really? We need an instruction manual on how to open those 2 muscles. I'm sure because no one even knows that's a possibility or it's there, right?
I have a feeling it'll be book 2 because once I've done the grand chessboard, I have a feeling that maybe I'll need to write a book on how I found the tools in the chessboard because there's only so much that I can put in the book to lay the concept without um, making it crap. I want to try and have it so strong with pure value that everybody appreciates it rather than I get a bad review. I don't want one person to ever read the book and go, I knew it all before. That's what I don't want because then I've recreated something which would be like my 2019 experience when I started writing the first book. It turned out that I was actually downloading a book that was already written.
Yeah, well, either way, it's still going to be confirmation for somebody, even if it's not, I didn't know all this. You know what I mean? If you can't possibly know everything, so
And you know what
confirmation
they
is
say
still,
about knowledge, everything's always known. It just takes someone time to know the knowing.
yeah. Just when you think you know it all, you don't. There's more. Yeah, it was making me think too when you were talking about the 2 muscles on each side of your ears. Um, People like I've been feeling a lot of popping and stuff there, and like people can actually move their ears, and they're getting all the frequencies in their ears. Have you noticed that? A lot of
Yes.
people are like, "What's that loud noise?" And I wonder if that's the muscles and everything kind of moving and shifting, which is allowing the frequencies to come in and to turn on.
It
Like, is that
remind
evolution?
yeah, it
Like, what exactly is happening?
reminds me of what Rudolf Steiner said in London in 1970 when radar and radio was starting being propagated across the whole planet. He said it's going to be much harder for anyone to be as spiritual as they were prior to that point in time. One of the things I felt as I've realized my electrosensitivity, my devices and stuff, I can often sense something that's highly electric. And if I walk past the electric boxes near me, I can even sense the vibrating feeling. Not that it's making a humming. I can
Yep,
actually sense this like toroidal push. And if I
yep,
stand closer, I can feel this emanation as if it's pulsating near me. Um,
yes,
the getting to what I'm talking about the ears, with the introduction of the 5G and a few of the other new types of micro pulsations, I felt a change. And even near me in this town, and there's not a lot of the 5G, and I'm trying not to say it because I'm going to upload the video, likely, because we've had such a good conversation. Um, the vibration effect from it, I've been feeling it in my ears. And because of it,
yes.
I've been working extra hard to ground myself. Like I've been using my neurophone a lot more. I've been holding grounding rocks. I've been going hugging a lot more trees just to try and reduce my electrosensitivity. And
Yes.
I can't help but wonder, is part of the technology effect maybe going to help chakra systems shine? Even though there's a lot of people from the negative side speaking about that it's all going to make
Yep.
everything terrible.
Yep.
Well, what about the other effect? Is there maybe something magical going to occur and everybody's going to go, holy
Right?
shit?
That's what I said to somebody. I'm like, you know what? How about we stop worrying about them spraying chemicals in the sky and start looking at it and going, look at how magical it is now, Or how about Godzilla?
Yeah.
How did he get
Well,
started? He was just a little iguana hanging out on the island, and they boof and they, and then boom, look at him. He's a fire breathing dragon, badass thing, like whatever. That's what we're gonna do.
it's the same as
we're gonna take this crap and we're gonna turn it around. And we're gonna shine. That's all I gotta say about that.
Well, for at least 5 years, every chemtrail I've ever seen, I look at it and I pray that it comes down like it's Christian water, like Baptistic water, to bless all. And then there was one day I seen heaps of trails, and I'm looking at the sky. This is when I was out with the dogs. I'm looking at the sky and I'm going, I wish it would just be so obvious for people to look up and go, oh. And then the next day I was out with the dogs, there was circles. I was like, check that!
Circles?
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I know. I was like, that's obvious. I wanted a camera. That's what I'm saying. I need to get a smart device or something. I need to do something. Last year I asked if anybody wanted to donate to get me one of those walking sticks, the sticks that people are carrying, but they're like $500 or something. I mean, I can't even afford shoes, let alone a flickering camera.
It's a bit much, you can just turn your camera setting off and then just walk around with the thing and then edit it at the end. I mean, why do people have to take this to a whole new level? It just ends up, you probably can't work it, can't figure it out. But yeah, I had like a $20 selfie stick at some point, and I think you have to set it up in order. There's something you have to do in order to turn it on and off and take pictures, but they should be that effective.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I think I need, just to share the outdoors. And when I go with the dogs, it's like a forest, so it's really a pleasant energy. And I'm hoping for the summer coming around I can do something, because my phone doesn't have any video or anything. But I'm hoping I can get some device like as you're saying, even a $20 one, just to go out there and share it. Say again? Like
a cheaper GoPro.
Yeah. Yeah,
and just film myself and then upload it.
I need to do something.
GoPros are expensive. That's a great idea.
Here's hoping.
It's done.
So there's a lot of good things to get done for the year, and I hope it does turn out.
It will work out. It'll all work out. I need to definitely have some more structured goals set as well, and then just doing it like everything that I've been doing hasn't really been, just kind of been blah, it needs to be more structured. But I mean, with everything going on in the world, it's been hard to even think about structure. Like, where do we go next? Should I take a loan out? Maybe not. There's just been all these decisions you want to make, and you're like, it's been kind of up in the air this year.
Yeah.
For everybody. Am I going to live? Am I going to die? Like, they've had to question a lot of things and figure themselves out.
Yeah, there was a conversation I had with one of the Synchronicity members recently. He's moved away from his family to go to a university. So he's like, say, 5 hours away. And he's been there for 3 years. This would be their final year for their degree. And the course is now completely online. So where they're located, they've got no friends. Well, a couple that they've made through the university. They don't go out, they work. And their debate, what they were telling me the other day was, I'm thinking of going home to where the family is. That way I'll be with ones I know. And because all the course is online. So it's like, and for them, the part that they were talking about was they're going to miss out on that university lobbyist. And I'm skimming a word just to try and give the theory, but the meeting of other people, the union, the connection with fellow students, and the potential people that they might see for the rest of their career. I don't know, but just using an example, that was what he was talking about, is that part of missing. And because it's his final year, and that's been 2 years, because he had to do 1 year in silence. And, I'm sitting there and I'm going, in a sense, you're suffering in silence. Yeah. So it was an interesting debate for the young man, and I give them the spur on, you know. I try and share the positive vibe. It's about the best we can do. It's
Yeah.
the challenges. So to conclude and just to help close our video, is there any shout outs that we need to do for like pointing people to reaching out to you, maybe your YouTube channel? Is there any links or any mentions you want to give? And on you go.
I am still on As Above, So Beloved, but I changed it here and there with the name. But I'm also on Discord, and I probably should do my own website to have people be able to just come there. I was thinking to do that, like a WordPress, and then just discussing our journey and what we do and what we're doing, and have more structure for people
Yeah,
and answer maybe a group. There's been some websites created, I think that people definitely need to build a community, whether, online or somewhere, because not a lot of people can build a physical community. So,
yeah.
having this virtual one it is a blessing for people to stick together. I know having someone to talk to is just so helpful for me. So having friends that are going through the same thing, and, I think it's really, really going to be good. So yeah, I'll get you that information. I'm gonna have to start a website.
Give me some links
Something.
anytime, and we'll put them right
Okay.
in the description of this lovely video that we'll share. And I do think people might enjoy the content. I'm going to click stop here so that we can just close the video. But I think in conclusion we've got an hour and 10 minutes.